Yes, so good afternoon everyone. I think it's time to start the webinar of this afternoon, which has been organized by Business Applications on services to support resilient and sustainable critical infrastructure. My name is Beatrice Baressi. I work at the European Space Agency in Business Applications, and this afternoon I will guide you through the slides of this webinar. The outlook of the agenda includes an overview on the European Space Agency. Then more specifically, I will be talking about business applications. Then the focus of the presentation will be given to the study that we are going to launch on services to support resilient and sustainable critical infrastructure. I will tell you what are the eligibility criteria to apply to this tendering. And finally, it's your time to ask questions. You can ask questions at any point of time during this presentation using the chat function that Webex offers. However, I will only answer the questions at the end of the presentation. Other simple rules: please keep your microphone muted and do not use the webcam. So let's start with the first topic of the presentation, which is an overview on the European Space Agency. The convention of the agency says that the European Space Agency has the objective to provide, the purpose of ESA is to provide for and promote exclusively for critical purposes cooperation among European states in space research and technology and their space applications. I would like to draw your attention on the space applications bit, because this is really the hardcore, the core element of business applications. These slides report summarize a few important facts on ESA, because I think that numbers always help to put things in the right perspective. So ESA was established more than 50 years ago. There are 22 member states at the moment, being Estonia the latest one to join. There are 8 facilities spread all over Europe. I would just briefly mention the biggest one, which is called EXAT, which focus is on space research and technology, which is based in the Netherlands. And the other one, which I think is very much relevant for business applications, is EXAT in the UK, close by Oxford. And EXAT has been built specifically with a focus on space applications and telecommunications. I already mentioned a few times business applications. Now I will tell you more about this specific program within the agency. The motto of business applications is space for daily life. In fact, we want space to be part of the set of technologies used in everyday business. Let's say that we are already users of space technologies. Most of the time we are unaware users, but if you think about it, you use space data every time, for instance, you enable a geolocated app on your smartphone, or every time you use a digital map. In business applications, we want to encourage even more the use of such data, because we strongly believe that the use of space-based data can be an asset in the business of European industries. So what does it mean this? Basically, here in business applications, we are here to show you that space data can be the fuel for how we say for your business. And the technologies that you can use are space weather, Earth observation, satellite navigation, satellite communication, and human space flight technologies. In 1 minute, I will tell you a little bit more for each of these technologies, but for now, I just want to tell you that a combination, a subset, or even all of them can be used in a wide range of applications, which includes, as you can see here on the slide, maritime, healthcare, transport, environment, agriculture, media, energy, education, aviation, and financial. So, what is the power of space? satellite navigation. Using satellite navigation means having data which enables positioning of people and assets all around the world. This technology is also the one enabling navigation and timing. Let's move now to satellite communication, which is the only means that assures communication all around the world, regardless of the status of terrestrial infrastructure. And the communication that satellite provides is at very high speed, so also very important message, data, stream, video can be transmitted. Earth observation is the technology which enables having images, again globally, at medium, high, or even high resolution, and often is neglected, but weather forecasting, weather data also fall within this category. And finally, we have spaceflight technologies, which are basically the technologies that have been developed in a first instance for the zero gravity scenario, but they can also be very valuable on Earth. And space weather is about technology which helps to understand the impact of events which occur in the space. However, their effect can also be felt on Earth. Just to mention the effect of solar, wind, or magnetic storm on communication network. At the moment, as business application, we have 195 million euros available for financing, for helping the business of European companies. The program has been established in 2009. Back then was known as Integrated Application Promotion, and we are proud to say that since then we have invested over 190 million euros in almost 500 European businesses. If you decide to work with us, with business applications, we are here, first of all, to provide financial support in a zero equity funding. And this financial support can range from 60,000 euros until 200 million euros. I will tell you in 1 minute how much is the budget dedicated for this specific activity. We are also here to provide you with technical and business-related support. There is a team of people, the so-called technical officer, and I'm proud to be one of those that are really here to help you in whatever matter you can have, either technically or commercially related. Finally, we are also willing to open up the network of our contacts, and of course you will benefit of the ESA brand, which is a valuable asset when you are looking for partners or for additional investors. With this slide, I conclude the introduction part, and now I will move to the focus, to the core of this webinar, which is to present you the feasibility study on critical infrastructure for services to support resilience and sustainability. The scope of this tender is to identify and analyze technical and economical sustainable space-based services, either for reducing the vulnerability of critical infrastructure or for making such infrastructure more green, or of course also a combination of both. The budget that we have allocated is 250,000 euros. The activity will be fully funded by ESA. The duration of the study will be 9 months. In terms of procurement, as the scope is quite broad, we want to say that several contracts are possible, which will run in parallel. Regarding the timeline, the tender will be open soon. When I say soon, it's mid of March. And after the tender is open, you will have time between 8 and 10 weeks to prepare your proposal and to submit it. So, as you can see from the scope, basically the scope of this activity is twofold. From one side, we want to make critical infrastructure more robust, but also more interconnected to the surrounding environment, or both. So this slide includes an example of services which are about either the resilience feature or the sustainability. If we look at the resilience, basically example of services could be the monitoring of critical infrastructure from environmental or climate-related events such as flooding or earthquakes, but also some consequences of human actions. The monitoring can be also focused on the structural integrity of the asset. Services can also be to increase the resilience of the critical infrastructure against cyber attack. That's also something of interest for the community. And of course the service can also be for enhancing, for supporting logistics and maintenance operations. These are all about resilience. If now we look instead at the sustainability, the type of services that we are looking for are services which help to reduce the impact on the environment, so they reduce, for instance, the greenhouse emissions or make a more efficient use of natural resources, and for instance, services that support the development of a new infrastructure or the replacement of an existing one. I just want to stress the concept that these are just examples of services. It's up to you, to the tender, to come up with other services which target either the resilience or the sustainability of the infrastructure, as long as there is a user community, there are customers interested in those services. The question now is, what's the role of space in all this? In the introduction part, just a few minutes ago, I gave you an overview of space capabilities in general. Now I will detail the added value of space technology in the context of critical infrastructure. Satellite observation can be used to enhance the operational awareness picture of the users, and you can do that collecting medium or high resolution images. The same images can be also used for providing a wide coverage, and that's very beneficial when you have to monitor large assets. And also, if you build a time series of images taken by for the same area but at different instance of time, by applying change detection algorithm, you can identify any changes that happened in the area, and this is very useful for several applications. Satellite navigation is the signal which enables the tracing tracking service of people and assets, and it's also the signal which allows you to exactly know the location was taken. Sorry, there must have been an error with the slide. Okay, can you see the slide again? No? Okay, I will try to share my screen again. Sorry about it. I don't know what has happened. Yes? Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I was saying that, regarding the satellite navigation, it's the signal which allows the trace and tracking of people and assets, people that operate around of course the critical infrastructure and any kind of assets which is useful, but also the signal which is used for geolocalizing the in-situ samples that you measure. Satellite communication is the only means which ensures a robust communication, regardless of the status of the terrestrial infrastructure. It's also the one that can be used as a backup solution if there is a cyber attack. And space weather must be analyzed in the relationship of the consequences that events such as magnetic storm can have on electricity grids, pipeline, railway signaling, etc. We want also to say that the studies, the services that you are going to study and analyze, they should not be only about space, but you are invited also to consider additional technologies which are really relevant and that can be very, very beneficial. I listed here a few. The first one is big data analytics, and the use of these techniques, which includes also cloud computing and artificial intelligence, is justified by the variety of data sources that you have to integrate, by the amount of data and the speed at which the data received. We also want you to consider new communication technologies such as 5G and mega constellations, because for certain services they can really enhance the features, the performances of these services. IoT is the technology which allows you to measure in situ samples and to connect them also with information coming from space. And crowdsourcing could be a valuable asset for events which are related to critical infrastructure. Business Applications is not alone in preparing this IPT and in performing this invitation to tender. We have asked also two representatives of the user communities, which at different extent are involved in the critical infrastructure. And finally, we engaged with three organizations which are listed here. The first one is the European Union Satellite Center. The second one is the United Nations Interregional Crime and Justice Research Institute. And finally, we have the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. We approached the three organizations and we asked them help to define the scope of the activity, of the invitation to tender. Each of the three have identified the priority for them. So I will start with SACSEN, which considers particular relevance to monitor the critical infrastructure which are important for the security of Europe. And this is basically in line with the mandate of SACSEN. For them, it's really important to have the integrity and the fusion of different types of data. UNICRI instead is more concerned about protecting critical infrastructure from cyber threat. So basically UNICRI wants to protect data and systems from unauthorized access, modification or denial of access. And finally, we have OSCE, the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, which wants to reduce the vulnerability of energy-related infrastructure, such as oil and gas pipeline, hydropower plant, and basically they want to make this infrastructure more resilient when there is an earthquake, for instance, or any kind of climate-related disaster. The excellent thing about us working with them is that they help us not only during the definition of the scope of the activity, but they will also support us through the entire study. So they will redefine the user requirements, they will provide guidance also for the definition of the services. So what are the main objectives of this study? We want you to identify the findings, assess the technical and economical potentially sustainable services. We want you to identify the potential commercial and technical risk to do so. You have also to consolidate the user and customer engagement during the study. And finally, you have to propose a roadmap for a follow-up. So the feasibility study that you are invited to carry on, it's not a research study, but we want you that you have in mind already a follow-up. How do you do that? Is through the study logic which is depicted in this slide. So basically, the first thing that you are asked to do as soon as the activity is kicked off is to define with the stakeholder, with the community with which you are engaged already, preliminary user requirement and service specification. Shortly after that, in parallel, you are asked to assess the technical and the commercial viability of the services that you want to provide. At the business case review, which is 6 months after the kickoff, basically you and us will sit together. We will assess if the services are desired by the customers, if they have a viable business, and if they are technologically feasible. If this is the case, then the last task is for you to come up with an implementation plan, basically with a roadmap. And at 9 months we will finish the study. What are the requirements to apply to this ITT? The contractor team, since the beginning, has to have an interest in developing and commercializing the services. Having this in mind, for us it's really important that the potential service provider is part of the team since the beginning, so their involvement is required. As this is a customer user-driven study, your proposal must be submitted together with a letter of support from the customer or from the user. Substance Unitary and us are, let's say, ESA users, so we are the one responsible for the communication with them. Any category of critical infrastructure is eligible for this activity, so it can be anything related to transport, energy, information, food, or agriculture, but we want you to focus on a limited number of services, in particular 3. And these services can be either addressing the resilience, the sustainability of the infrastructure, or both. And of course, it must be evident that the space brings an added value in these services that you define and that you analyze. These are the criteria to apply. Now, in terms of finding eligibility, any organization residing in any of the countries which have subscribed to the IP program can apply. If you wonder who are these countries, here you have the list in your slide. So, if your company is residing in one of these countries, and if you have an interest in applying to this ITT, I would say that the first step for you is to get in contact with the representative of your national delegation, because they have to provide a letter of support for this activity. We cannot accept the proposal without the letter. If you wonder who are these people who you should contact, there is a website and there is a web link on this slide. If you go there, you find the contact details of the national delegation. How to apply to this call? You have to go in EMIX, which is the portal that ESA uses for publishing call. Each call has a unique number, and the number which has been associated to this call is 9189. Of course, in EMIX at this point of time you will not find anything because the call is not yet open. From the moment that the call is open, you can go in EMIX and you will find all the information there. The second step is to register in ESA, because proposal can only be submitted electronically, and ESA is the system which allows you to do that. You can start to do the registration in ESA regardless of being the call open or not, so I would suggest you to do that anyhow. And finally, if you want to know when this call will be open, of course it will be published also on our website, on the business.esa.it website, and I would suggest, if you haven't done so, to subscribe to our newsletter, so you will be automatically notified once that the call is open. Okay, so this was the last slide on my side, so now it's your turn to ask questions. Before reading your question, I should say that this webinar is going to be recorded and it will be published again on our website, on the business.esa.it website. There will be the audio and the slides. So you can always then read again and access again the slides. Having said that, I will stop now sharing the screen and I will go in the, I'm going to read your question. So if you have a question and you haven't sent them, yes, you are welcome to do so. Okay, someone asked about the slide. I think I gave already the answer that indeed they will be shared not via email, but they will be on our website, the same website that you have used for registering to this webinar. Okay, I don't see questions. Someone is asking if drones are classified as space assets. Yes, definitely, because one application of satellite navigation, it was somehow, maybe I didn't explain well, but basically in order to guide the drone, you need to know the position of such assets. So these are indeed considered as space assets because they need to have satellite positioning at least. It can also be satellite communication, but it depends on the application. If you want to, so yes, the question is, the answer is yes. So there is chat function. If you click there, it will open a small window and you can write there. Sorry, can you write the question, George? Yes, the question was about drones. Okay. I'm going to read the question as well. So the other question is, if someone is asking about the maximum number of free services. Because, as I said, the broad and the scope of the activity can be very broad. So we want you that at the end of the study you have identified promising and potential opportunities for free services only. So it can be that at the beginning of the study you don't have such clarity, but at the end of the study, in 9 months' time, we want you that you prepare a roadmap for exploiting all these free services, which can addressing either the resilience or the sustainability. And one slide I showed example of services in one of the other category, but of course the list is not exhaustive, you can add more. Before I read the next question, I want to tell you that once that the ICT is open, in ELIS you will find the statement of work associated to this activity, which is going to tell you what you are required to do once that the activity starts, including also, of course, the study logic, and there will be also a template for the proposal. That's also part of the tender package. So I think that is an important help for you, but bear in mind that all proposals must be submitted together with a letter of support from your national delegation for the funding and from the user and letter of support from the user, from the customer, which testify their interest in the service. Are there any other questions? So one is asking if you can engage with what I defined the ESA users, so OSCE, SATS, and Unitary. The answer is no. ESA will set a contact point with these three user representatives. In fact, you are asked to involve an additional user or customer. We as ESA will set a contact point with this organization, and we will involve them during the study as needed. But please don't contact them before the contracts are placed. And the statement of work anyhow will provide an overview, more detailed of what there is right now in the slides, on the needs of these three organizations. So you will have additional information there as well. The reason why we are holding this webinar today is because the call is not yet open. As you can understand, once that the call is open, if you have questions, there is a contractual way to ask questions, to ask doubts, which is through a clarification on ELIX. Because basically the answer that we will provide to a specific person must be shared with all the other potential tenders. So, I mean, if you have questions, that's the moment to ask, or you can always write me afterwards. There are all my details, my email in the presentation as well. I'm checking the slide, but okay, so 250,000 euros, yes, is the total funding for the feasibility study. So for the 9 months of duration of the project, the winners will be funded completely by ESA, so we don't require co-funding from the consortium. Of course, the budget will be different if there will be a demonstration project, but that's not part of this call. And as I said, given the broad scope of the activity, parallel contracts are also possible. There is a question about the size of the expected business of the service company in terms of turnover. There are no expectation in that respect. Any company can apply. It could be an SME, it can be a macro company, a small or a bigger one. The only criteria is that the company must be a resident in one of the countries which are subscribed to the Integrated Application Promotion Program. And the other thing to keep in mind is when you build the consortium, there must be a potential service provider. Also, this question reminds me that we don't have any requirements in terms of number of companies which form the consortium, nor in the country of origin. So basically, it can be only one company coming all from the same country or more. So there are no requirements in terms of size or geographical distribution of the consortium. Resilience and sustainability aspects are independent, or they can be managed both in the study. No, they can be both managed in the study. The way how you want to build the services is up to you. You can have all services addressing the resilience part or the sustainability, or you can have a service which is looking at the resilience and at the sustainability, or you can have two services for the resilience and one for the sustainability. So, again, we don't have requirements in these respects. It depends on the type of critical infrastructure that you are targeting. It depends on the type of needs that the customer has it. Again, a question on the funding. No, 250,000 euros is per contract. So if we have 2 or 5 projects running in parallel, each of them will have 250,000 euros. Edward is reminding you that the presentation will be made available. You are free to contact myself or sending questions to business@esa.is. I think for the time being that's it. I don't see any other questions. You have my contacts. The presentation will be available shortly, so feel free to contact me at any point of time, but of course before the call is open. So then thank you a lot for your time. I wish you a nice afternoon, and good luck if you decide to apply to this SEC. Bye.